from Florida, Mr. Mica.
Anytime you want. Yeah, anytime makes sense.
Gentleman's recognized.
Madam Chairman, I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
Will the gentleman suspend for just a moment, please? The committee will be in order. Committee will be in order. Will members please take their conversations off the floor? Gentleman from Florida.
Madam Chairman, members of the House, the first thing I'd like to do is ask for unanimous consent to insert at this point in the record the letters that I referenced earlier.
The gentleman's request will be covered under general leave.
Thank the Chair. The legislation before us now, as the Chair has indicated, is the FAA Reauthorization and Reform Act of 2011. During the discussion on the rule which brought the measure to the floor, I had an opportunity to speak on the fairness of the rule. And again, I'll cite, having been here for a number of years and observed the process for 3 decades, I rarely find any time in which everyone has had a fairer opportunity to offer amendments. Some 48 amendments were offered before the Rules Committee. Some 33 were accepted, 9 were withdrawn, so there are only 6 that were not considered, some for germaneness reasons, some for being duplicative, and also in fairness to members to have an opportunity to participate. So again, I think that the process we come forward is very fair. The process has been fair and bipartisan in the committee. Now, in the last 4 years, as the ranking Republican leader of the committee, I can count on probably less than 3 fingers the number of votes that we had over the 4 years. We had many more votes than that in the committee. It was an open process, and people had the opportunity to participate. Then I also spoke in the rule of how we got ourselves in this predicament. I had the honor and privilege of being the chair of the aviation subcommittee after the beginning of 9/11 and through the fateful time of 9/11 for some 6 years. In 2003, we passed the last authorization for FAA. Now, in order to operate the federal government and each of its agencies and activities, the Congress must authorize the programs, the policies, the agencies, the funding formulas, and the projects that are eligible for federal participation. As I also stated, the other side of the aisle for 4 years had huge majorities, could pass anything that they wanted to. Very large majorities in the House, large majority in the Senate, and the last 2 years, indeed, they control the White House, the House, and the Senate, could pass anything they want. In 2007, the bill that I helped author, a 4-year authorization, expired. For the last 4 years, they did 17 extensions in 4 years. It's no wonder that people don't have jobs. It's no wonder that people in the aviation industry don't know which way the federal government is coming or going. It's no wonder that you have some disarray in one of our most important agencies, the FAA. Now, they had 4 years. We've had less than 4 months. We're bringing the bill out. We've had a fair process in the committee. We've had an opportunity for people to offer amendments, and we'll spend most of today and maybe part of tomorrow going through those amendments, and I think adequate time for debate. The bill does make some reductions in spending, and it does take us back to the 2008 level of spending. Now, the first thing you'll hear from the other side is, oh, the Republicans are cutting and slashing important FAA programs and safety and security and everything under the sun will be at risk. I can tell you that that's not the case. I can tell you you can do more with less, and we can prioritize. In fact, in this bill, to make certain that safety is our primary concern, and it must be our primary concern, that we have put specific provisions in here that if there are cuts or reductions, and heavens knows the FAA and the Department of Transportation certainly can have some reductions in bureaucratic staffing. My dad used to say, and when he was alive, he said, "Son, it's not how much you spend, it's how you spend it." And it's just like that with personnel. People will say, well, we're not going to have enough air traffic controllers. And we just had the incident out at Reagan. Had an air traffic controller with some 20 years experience, 17 years at DCA, and came to work, I guess, at 10 o'clock. There was somebody there till almost 10:30. Says that I understand he was there an hour and 28 minutes and either fell asleep or wasn't doing his duty. So in Washington, what did they do? We got to double up. We got to have more employees. Now listen to this statistic. Listen to this statistic. Since before 2001, we have a 21% decrease. Since before, if we go to 2001 to today, we have a 21% decrease in air traffic movements. Why? Because the industry's consolidated. We don't have as many flights. The economy's down. At the same time, we have an increase in 20% of staffing. So if you look at airports around the country, you'll see some with huge reductions in air traffic and still the same number of air traffic controllers. So in this bill, we give some flexibility so you can hopefully move people around. Now, I know there are labor agreements and it's hard to get people to move. And some people might not like the warm climes and beauty of Florida where the population is expanded, in Arizona and wherever else we need them. But for heaven's sakes, do we need to double up? Do we need to double up when there's no air traffic at most of these airports between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m.? That's the Washington, big spending, big government, let's add more. So I can tell you that there's plenty of room for doing things responsibly, doing things with safety in mind, doing things, now let's try a new approach with the best interests of the taxpayer. They spent some $5.3 billion in about 24 months more than we take in. We're on the verge of having our financial security of this nation at risk, also threatening even the defense security of this nation. Now, again, 17 times they did these little hiccup extensions costing millions of dollars. Just ask the FAA administrator, the recalculation, all the things that had to be done, the inability to move forward with safety programs for that matter. So I just want to make the point that we can accomplish what we've set out, a reduction in spending and actually better performance and better safety. I could give more examples. I don't have a lot of time. We used to chase developmental programs, and the government would try to develop technology for air traffic control, and they'd take forever, and the private sector would develop technologies. They do it sooner, faster, with better, with more capability, while they're still spending billions of dollars recklessly, and we reduced actually the amount of money in those developmental programs, and we actually have put out there technology faster, better. So there are many areas, and I can't spend all my time talking about them, but this is a job creation bill. 9.2% of the gross domestic activity in this nation depends on this industry. We count on this. And as I said, in less than 4 months, the other body, the Senate, has already passed the bill. We're ready to go to conference. We've asked for one extension to accomplish this, and this bill has excellent provisions. Now you hear finally you'll hear them moan and groan about some labor provision that someone described that we're taking away democratic rights and all of this for union members. Couldn't be further from the truth. We have had 70-some years of rules under organizing for labor, where we've always had a majority of those who were affected have to vote in a union. Now they want to change it to whoever shows up. They have multiple elections, and that's what they're asking for. Little caveat here, and I hope everyone's listening, Madam Chair. What they didn't do is to decertify to get out of the union. They left the old rule in place that it has to be a majority of everyone who's affected. And they'll tell you that that they didn't let women vote and all of this a long time ago. Try to mix up the topic at hand and confuse people. But you can't think of a more unfair rule than a packed National Mediation Board has enacted. Unfair, easy to enter in, cut the provisions for entering in, and then put a barrier up to get out. Again, I think this is an excellent program. It gives us opportunities to look at contract towers and then air traffic control, the next generation of air traffic control. We can do better. We can get technology in place. We'll probably have to use fewer people, and we'll always know where the planes are if we could move this legislation forward that, again, has been on the shelf for some 4 years. So there are excellent provisions in this legislation. I feel confident that it deserves the support of the House, and we'll have fair and open debate on amendments, and I reserve the balance of my time.